Well, all right. Hello, everyone, and happy Monday. It's digital host A.J. Wuest welcoming you back to Before the Four, the live stream where I go through some of 48's top news stories and then some before our 4 o'clock newscast. Wherever you're watching Before the Four this Monday afternoon, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, or the 48 Now live stream, as always, thank you so much for watching and spending just a bit of your afternoon here. Now, first, let's talk about the weather. I personally ran into a little bit of rain on my commute into work this afternoon. But let's turn over to 48 First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis for the latest in the weather. Brad?
Hey, good Monday afternoon, everyone. Hope you had a good weekend. A lot of you on fall break this week. And if you're not, chances are your traffic situation is a lot better. A lot less traffic out there. Shower activity lifting to the north. I think we'll get a fairly large break outside of a few stray showers and some drizzle. And then overnight, very early tomorrow morning, the rain starts returning. And I think it returns to the shoals first. It's cloudy, it's muggy, it's 81 over there just after 3 o'clock this Monday afternoon. This is 3:30 in the morning. Notice a return to the showers. A little bit more lightning with what we get tomorrow, I think. There's a cold front. We've been talking about this for almost a week. It looks like it's going to move through late Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. It'll be a slow mover, but it will change the weather for us for sure. As we go towards 10, 11 o'clock, you're going to notice an area of intense rainfall developing right along I-65, and that'll track east-northeast into the afternoon. And then we kind of get into this scattered shower and thunderstorm activity all the way through the rest of the day. So overall, it's going to be a pretty active day on radar with heavier rainfall, but no severe weather expected, even though this will be a cold front coming in. Just doesn't have the right ingredients coming together for that. And that rain chance will last all the way into Wednesday morning with scattered showers early in the day and then maybe a pop-up shower or some drizzle as we get into late Wednesday and Thursday. But notice the temperature's dropping. It gets a lot better than that as we approach your Friday. We'll have your 10-day forecast coming up at 4, 5, and 6.
All right, certainly good to know. And don't y'all forget it, 48 First Alert Weather Extra. That is tonight at 9:30, wherever you're watching Before the Four this afternoon. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis, he'll be back here in the streaming center, and he'll have all the latest that he is seeing on the radar. Again, it is tonight at 9:30. You can watch it on Facebook, YouTube. Feel free to leave a comment, and Brad will shout you out. Any of your thoughts, questions, any concerns you might have, Brad will shout you out, and he will answer those questions for you. But now, an update to a story in case you missed it out of Lauderdale County, where a traveling veteran was accused of sexually assaulting an underage girl and threatening her mother. And now, officials believe there may be about 15 other victims of this man. 48's Noah Cowell reports.
52-year-old Greg Ford, who has a traveling equine vet practice, is sitting in the Marion County, Florida jail after he was arrested and charged with sexual battery of a minor last week. This came just as a criminal complaint in Alabama detailed his alleged sexual relationship with his underage employee from Florence. Now, Coven says his client is one of up to 15 women the FBI believes Ford sexually abused.
As a traveling veterinarian, we're aware of at least 8 to 9 different states that he had traveled to with at least one of the victims. And when he's traveling to these different states, he may have had other victims in those other states.
The investigation started when Ford's alleged relationship with the Florence victim was exposed in August, when her mother discovered explicit text messages and pictures on her phone. The day before his arrest, investigators say he texted a threat to the girl's mother, saying he paid a friend from the CIA to long rifle a bullet in her chest.
It was a very violent threat that the FBI was concerned about and actually had to put a security detail on the mother just to protect her. It's kind of like a cornered rat. You know, once they feel as though they're trapped, they start lashing out.
Ford also told the mother he was in love with her daughter and that they were soulmates. This Florence victim, who is now 17 years old, released a statement saying Ford groomed her, adding, quote, "What he did to me was not love. It was abuse, control, and manipulation."
Each young girl felt that she was special and she was the one in his eyes. After they come to the realization of what has happened to them and how they've been taken advantage of, it turns into an anger. The focus right now on behalf of all the victims is really the criminal prosecution and making sure that he's put behind bars for a very long time.
And quite the disturbing story there. That was 48's Noah Cowell reporting. But now we're going to head to break. But coming up, an update to Rock the South coming to Decatur, in case you missed it. We're expecting next year's lineup to be released tomorrow. A young boy in Ardmore searching for a donor while dealing with kidney failure. And Helen Keller's roots run deep in the Shoals. We'll talk about it all in 1 minute. Well, alrighty, my time is up. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Before the Four. And now an update to Rock the South. As we all know, next year's music festival is coming to Decatur. 48's Faith Delp on Friday spoke with festival organizers who say the lineup of artists is just days away. Let's take a listen.
This entire open field will be a 150-acre concert venue for Rock the South in just months, and organizers say they're up for the task. Michael McBrayer is the Director of Governmental Relations with Peachtree Entertainment. Peachtree put on Rock the South in Coleman for over a decade without owning that land.
We are used to going into a farmer's field in another state and setting these events up sometimes in 7 days. So if you think about that, we've got more than that. We've got 8 months to go in there and really build something special. So it will be all hands on deck.
They now own this land, which in just months will turn into a massive venue with 2 stages, VIP areas, campgrounds with drainage systems, and more. And contracts for the stars who will be on stage here are in the works. In past years, Rock the South has brought artists like Morgan Wallen, Chris Stapleton, and Kid Rock to Coleman, Alabama. This festival moving to Decatur was a shock, even to Chase Grisham, who is the bridge between Decatur and Rock the South.
And it was just a dream to really have Rock the South come to Decatur. We were just going to do something a little different. But when that opportunity arose, obviously, we kind of struck as hard as fast as we could.
Moving from Coleman to Decatur requires a shift in security as well. McBrayer says he is working closely with the police department and sheriff's office here to ensure everyone can have a safe and fun experience. McBrayer did tell me he has thoughts about more ideas and possibilities for this land, but they want to focus on Rock the South before expanding to any other events. Reporting in Decatur, Faith Delp, 48 News, on your side.
Well, now moving out to Ardmore, where 9-year-old Ruger is battling stage 5 kidney failure. Ever since his diagnosis, his family has been desperately searching for a donor. Now, Ruger's mom, Haley Scrimshire, told 48 News that thanks to local media coverage just like this, they've received an influx of potential donor applications. Now, doctors have found someone who is a medically perfect match for him. A complete stranger just doing a big act of kindness. But it has not come without some hurdles. The potential donor does not meet the weight requirement to donate. So while they try to hit a BMI under 30, Scrimshire says they are playing the waiting game. Scrimshire says time is of the essence to get their little boy back in good health. So they are still looking for a donor. She says the faster they can get Ruger a kidney, the better. Let's take a listen.
The next step is really just, hoping that her BMI reaches to the point that it needs to be soon. If not, they're starting to bring other people down. I know there's another girl coming November 3rd. She's a dialysis nurse from Vanderbilt. So she's coming to be tested November 3rd. But we're praying and hoping that it's the donor that we've been working with so far. She's been amazing, but we're leaving the door open too, just in case it's not her. And I think the hardest part as a parent is just watching how tired he is. He can go to school. He does the whole school schedule for 8 hours a day. And then after that, he'll come home and take a 3-hour nap, and then he'll sleep all night and he'll wake up still exhausted. So I think between the weight loss, all the medicine he's taken, the fatigue, that's been the hardest part as a parent to watch him go through. You ready to get it over with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now let's head out to Tuscumbia, where 48's Aria Pons takes us through the halls of Ivy Green, where the legendary Helen Keller's story began. Let's take a look.
If you take a stroll down North Common Street, you'll stumble upon a piece of land that transports you back. Ivy Green has called Tuscumbia home since 1820 when it was built. And for those who know, it holds a secret history inside.
This is the pump where Helen learned her first word, water.
Before Helen Keller was known by the world, she ran through these halls. Keller, an author and disability rights advocate, became deaf and blind when she was just a baby. Years later, the Keller family brought a teacher to Ivy Green for Helen Keller. That would be the now well-known Ann Sullivan.
This is the famous bedroom where Helen locked the teacher in. She got mad at her one day, so she shut the door, locked it, and hid the key, and they couldn't find it. So Ann Sullivan had climbed out that window right there.
One night, Keller was throwing a fit at the table, so Sullivan brought her to the pump outside out of frustration, running water over her hands and spelling out water.
They said it was like the key that opened her brain. She learned over 30 words that day, and her learning never stopped. She went on to become the first deafblind to ever graduate from college.
Sullivan and Keller became inseparable, and from there, Keller changed the world.
To think of a little deaf-blind girl in the 1800s and so many obstacles that she had to cross because of her disability. But she was determined that nothing was going to stop her and that her mission was going to be all of her life to stand up for people that was a little different than others.
Visitors from all over the world have stopped in solely to see the beginnings of Helen Keller.
History is something that everyone needs to be taught because the legacy of Helen Keller still lives on today.
In Tuscumbia, Aria Pons, 48 on your side.
Very cool story there from 48's Aria Pons. And now let's go into the stories you're just not going to want to miss coming up in our evening newscasts. More details on the deadly mass shooting in Montgomery, a Lauderdale County judge facing criminal charges for ethics violations in court today, and finally, the latest on the government shutdown now 6 days deep. And these are just a few of the stories you're just not going to want to miss coming up in our evening newscasts. And you all know what time it is now. It is, of course, time for Facebook fun and our 48 Facebook question today. We asked it around 3:45 earlier today. What's a smell that instantly takes you back to your childhood? That is what I want to know here, and personally for me, I would say the smell of fresh cut grass is certainly one of those smells that takes me back to my childhood. But what I want to know is what you all had to say, and let's see what you had to say. A lot of comments here. Looks like we have about 53. I just chose a couple of my favorites here. And let's see what y'all said. Crayons, that is from Crystal Smith. Definitely takes me back to my childhood as well, especially early elementary school, coloring in the coloring books, in the restaurants and everything. Christmas and Thanksgiving dinner, I gotta love that smell. One of my favorite smells of all time. Honeysuckle, that is from Brooke Leonard. Gotta love the smell of some sweet honeysuckle on a hot summer day. Love honeysuckle, especially in the early spring, in the summer. Great smells there. It looks like Rodney Terry said diesel fuel burning from tractor exhaust. I still love that smell. Rodney, you gotta love it. Play-Doh. Now, that is a very nostalgic smell for me as well. Play-Doh. Miss those days, elementary school, just playing with some Play-Doh in the classroom. Good times. Nikki also said cut grass. That is probably one of my favorite smells that instantly takes me back to my childhood. I had a nice little gig cutting grass for my neighborhood, the homeowners association growing up. I miss the days just riding on the riding mower and cutting some grass. It also reminds me of playing high school football back in the day, long time ago. But let's see, I think I missed one. Natasha Yarbrough, she said, rain on a fresh plowed field. There it is right there. That is another really good smell. And the smell of rain, I smelled it on the way to work today. My back window has a little bit of a crack in it, so anytime it rains when I'm driving in my car, I certainly smell that rain, and that's one of my favorite smells as well. Definitely got to love the smell of rain. But y'all, you had super awesome comments, as always, again today on our 48 Facebook question. It always makes my day seeing what y'all have to say in our Facebook comments. But y'all, that is just about it for today's Before the Four. But thank you all for sticking around, spending a bit of your Monday afternoon here watching Before the Four. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Enjoy tonight's evening newscast, and as always, you all have a great night.